A new quest, a new combat ring, what a day. How does the new ring stack up? Is it better than Reaver's ring? Is it worse? Like most things, it turns out that it depends. Requiem for a Dragon rewards the player with Zorgoth's Ring, which can be upgraded to Zorgoth's Soul Ring after completing Necromancy rituals at the Unjil ritual site. According to Mod Azana, the fastest way to unlock the ring is speeding through low-level rituals. Personally, I just did the Ectoplasm ritual because it's good profit, and I got it in like 6 rituals, so it wasn't too bad, but it can go all the way up to 100. Also, a quick quest spoiler alert, you can grab a new ring by petting Vorkis' ghost in the city of The upgraded version of the ring gives a great necromancy damage bonus, but more importantly, it gives you a 5% chance to get a residual soul when casting a necromancy ability. That's one of those blue dots above your head. The two best necromancy rings before were the Ring of Death, which gives you adrenaline when a target dies, and the Reaver's Ring, which gives you a 5% crit chance buff at the cost of accuracy. So how does the new ring stack up? I started by testing the ring on dummies. Let's just say a 5% extra soul chance feels pretty underwhelming when using combat. Basically, you burn through 20 abilities before getting a single soul, so the ring certainly isn't game-breaking, which is honestly a pretty good thing. It does not work with conjures at all, they can't proc it, that's also great, and it doesn't work with extra hits from Death Skulls or Bloat, although it can trigger on the very first hit from those two abilities. Soul Sap can generate an extra soul, giving you a cool 2 souls at once, but this pales compared to the Siphon ability, which has a 5% chance of a soul for every hit on every target, meaning theoretically you could generate 100 souls from a single Siphon, but the odds of that are less than 1 in 10 duo quadrigentillion, and I mean there's a cap of 5 souls, so there's that too. I was curious if Soul Strike worked the same way as Siphon, so I went to Berthorpe and slaughtered bunnies for about an hour. The chance of a soul definitely scales up the more targets you hit, but I never actually managed to get 2 souls at once, unlike with the Siphon ability. Now, I was intrigued. How does the ring stack up against the Ring of Death in Slayer and combat training situations? Basically, it depends. The Ring of Death averages 2.5% adrenaline gain when a target dies. If it takes 100 hits to kill your target, you'll get 5 souls from Zorgoth's Ring versus only 2.5% adrenaline. So obviously Zorgoth's Ring would be better in that situation. However, if it only takes 2 hits to kill your target, then the opposite is true. But that's all sort of meaningless unless you put it to practice. So I went to Abyssal Beasts for an hour to compare the 2 rings. Final result, the Ring of Death gave me 2.3% more XP per hour compared to Zorgoth's Ring at Abyssal Beasts. Honestly, it's almost a negligible difference. Anything that's faster to kill than Abyssal Beasts, I'd use the Ring of Death on, and anything that's slower to kill, I'd use Zorgoth's Ring on. So stuff like Phantoms or Abyssal Lords probably use Zorgoth's Ring over the Ring of Death, but otherwise stick to the Ring of Death. If you can't afford a Ring of Death, then the new ring is really good for AoE training. Now, what about single target situations like bossing? Something I was really excited to test was the ring with Volley of Souls. Imagine using 5 soul volley on a target and instantly getting them all refunded by the ring so you can cast it again. Unfortunately, this dream was cut short during testing. The way the ring works, it rolls for a soul first, then if it's successful, it adds that to your total soul count, which is capped at either 3 or 5, so if you're at max souls, you don't get another soul. If you only have 2 souls, then it will cast those 2 at the enemy and give you 1 back right after. I'm not sure if this is a bug or not, it definitely feels like it, but we'll have to see what happens. I was also not able to get more than 1 soul back during testing, but that may have just been bad luck. Now, versus the Reaver's Ring, which is better? First off, if you're using the Equilibrium Aura, Reaver's Ring does nothing, so Zorgoth's Soul Ring is definitely the play. Similarly, if the Reaver's Ring pushes you under 100% accuracy on your target, Zorgoth's Ring all day, most of the time. But then we get into the trickier situations where you can crit and you still have 100% accuracy with the Reaver's Ring. Here's how I decided to look at it. Basically, how much damage do those extra souls give you versus the extra critical hits? It depends on the ability you're casting, so welcome to ring switching. A residual soul is worth roughly 5k damage, but this number goes down a little when you account for needing to cast Volley of Souls more often, and it messing with rotations, so we'll value them around 3 or 4k damage each. From the crit side, crits give 50% more damage, so every crit is worth 50% of an ability's damage. Applying this to abilities, the new ring is better on all your basic attacks, so like Touch of Death, Soul Sap, the auto attack, stuff like Tuska and Sacrifice. It's also better on Soul Strike and Volley of Souls if you're using it under your soul cap, and a few other low-hitting abilities. Reaver's Ring is the winner for stuff like Death Skulls, Bloat, and your guard spec, and of course Max Soul Volley of Souls. So if you're super sweaty, pop on Zorgoth's Ring for basic attacks and then swap back to Reaver's for high-hitting attacks. If you're a ring camper, you'll want to use the Reaver's Ring because abilities like Death Skulls are such a huge part of your DPS rotations, and Reaver's is the very clear winner on that. Also, keep in mind, Zorgoth's Ring will mess with your rotations, so if you have a super calculated, measured out rotation that you use everywhere and you're not great at ad-libbing, then you'll want to stick with Reaver's anyways. Honestly, I think this ring is really, really well balanced. Jagex nailed it on this one. Other rings aren't dead content, and this one still has its places. We'll see if it gets any upgrades with the new boss in the future. Also, the ring can generate souls in Legacy mode, so that's cool.